Welcome, one and all, to a special episode of The Cool Kids. It is I, Zach Brody, joined by my usual suspects. Y'all know how we are. You know what we do. So, here's to swimming with bow-legged women. Steven Spielberg's Jaws. What can we possibly say? It's Jaws. This movie ruled the fucking world at one point. Like, at the time, there was no other movie like it. Like, honestly, I don't know how to review a movie like this, but we're gonna try. So, I'm actually gonna hand it to my cohorts first before I get into it. But let's just start right off with talking about our how we first saw the film, our general nostalgia for it, if we have any. So, take it away. Oh, you're muted.
Um, it's great. Go watch it. No, I'm just kidding. Um, I don't know. It's just one of those movies that it kind of reminds me of the original Evil Dead in a way where it was like lightning in a bottle. It can't be replicated. It can't be readapted. It can't be redone. Even though Hollywood will probably try in the next 50 years,
The
most
fact that its
likely.
own sequels couldn't replicate it.
Um, and it's just like weirdly it's not entirely perfect to me, but it's a perfect movie if that makes sense. I only have like a major negative, but like not a major negative. I have a extremely minor nitpick, but that's like kind of it, and we'll get into that later. But I watched it for the first time about 9 years ago. I bought the DVD in like a bargain bin for like $5. So I was like, all right, I haven't seen this. Eventually, I finally watched because so many years I was like too scared to, and I was like, oh my god, I don't have like a shark phobia or anything. I was just like, oh my god, this is like honestly the front cover art is scarier than the movie, like straight up. But I think so. I watched it. I instantly loved it. I thought it was phenomenal, and then I did see it in the theater for this. Like not just for this. It's just like I wanted to see it in the theater because like Jaws is classic. My sister saw it for the first time. She really liked it. And it was overall it's just a very phenomenal experience in the theater to see it once again. But yeah, it's just like kind of like a lightning in a bottle definitely type of movie. There were notes of like good parts that could have been in Jaws too, but they're like, nah, let's have more shark stuff for just shark attacks and gore and shit. And it's just like, eh. But yeah, I don't want to hog the spotlight.
Yes, I dare you. I'm just kidding. And yes, I am wearing my Luffy hat because I don't have anything Jaws related, any Jaws apparel. So, and hell, I'm sure that Luffy had beat the shit out of sharks all the time in crossing the seas. Anyway, Jaws. The first time I ever saw this movie, I think I was like 8 or 9 years old. I saw it on TV, and I remember seeing parts of it on TV. Let me rephrase that. I saw parts of it on TV. I was loving it. Unfortunately, I had to turn it off because I think we were going somewhere. I can't remember. But I was loving what I was watching, and next time I remember wanting to rent my dad took me to the video store, and he let me rent Jaws, and I watched it in its entirety for the first time then. Um, and I fell in love with it. Obviously I wasn't alive when the original it originally came out in '75. I think actually that although my parents actually did see that because I think that was like the year my mom graduated from high school. She and my dad were dating at the time. They went to go see it, and she was telling me like even though she was not afraid to go to the beach that same summer because they went there anyway, she was telling me there were some people she knew that were too scared to go to the beach that year, traumatized them. But And didn't see this recently in theaters for the 50th anniversary, but I have seen it like either maybe like about twice, maybe like one and a half. The first time I saw this on the big screen, I saw it like on the big screen was during COVID because one of my movie theaters, like during COVID when the movie theaters were shut down, one of the theaters had an event where you pay like one ticket and you park your car in the parking lot. It's almost like a drive-in movie theater kind of event. You pay one a ticket and it's good for two movies that weekend. Um, it was the one that my brother and I we went to go see. We went. Jaws was the later one. Unfortunately, we had to sit through a shitty movie before we got to that. Playing with Fire. Fuck that movie. But
Ugh,
thankfully,
brony pandering movie.
like I said, the only reason we watched it was because it was good for that ticket was good for two movies, and we had nothing else to do, so we said fuck it because we only watched it just so we could get to Jaws, which by the way was the first time my brother Ben has seen it, so he saw it at that time, and then we saw it again, like I think a couple of years ago when it was released in IMAX. So Ben and I we were like the only ones in the theater at the time, and we were just having so much of a blast watching it. So, but yeah, that's my history of Jaws.
I don't remember when I first saw the movie in its entirety anyway. I do remember though that I have watched it on TV a lot at a younger age. It was never really in a phase where it's like, oh, sharks, fascination with Jaws. But the nostalgia factor was there. It certainly gave me an anxiety about always looking for shark infested water type signs whenever we went to the coast and all that. I, like anyone else who saw this movie, did not want to go into the water for a long time. That was a funny story. It's not even a story related to Jaws, but one of my little cousins, I think he was like 6 at the time. We were watching that it was on the Sci-Fi Channel, that movie called Ghost Shark, one of those shitty low budget shark movies. It was that movie where it was a ghost shark that come through any parts of the water, even things like the hose, a cup of water, things like that. Scared the shit out of my little cousin. So that's what traumatized him for with sharks for a while. So that's a funny little shark related story. But yeah, for me though, I was afraid to go in the water for a while, so there's that. But other than that, like I said, I don't remember when specifically I first saw the movie, and I wasn't able to see the 50th anniversary release either in theaters. I watched it last night. I actually watched a fan edit where they put the deleted scenes back in. It's like 8 minutes longer. Interesting deleted scenes, mostly stuff that elaborates on Quint more, which I guess that's a plus for me because spoiler alert, he's my favorite character in the movie. But it's Quint. I'm sure he's everyone's favorite. But outside of that, actually, before we go into our positives, so that John can elaborate, let's go into the mixed.
Um, so the only nitpick I have is just I wish there was more, and I'm kind of on the fence on whether or not it's sort of the movie is so fucking good that I just want more of it, or if it's like genuinely I feel like there's stuff missing. I mean, technically there is stuff missing. It is based on a book, and there's
Yeah.
always going to be stuff to cut out because you have to adapt it from book to
Oh,
adaptation.
I'm gonna go into something I'm glad they cut.
Um, and with that, I think it just left me with wanting just like a tad bit more, and because of that, I can't give it like a perfect score.
That's
But
fair.
outside of that,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's kind of like the Naked Gun or earlier this month or last month.
yeah, where it's like I'm not sure if it's a positive or a negative in terms of
Yeah.
I want more.
And
And
that's kind of the
we
sad thing,
got
isn't it?
more, but just not the good type of more. We got the bad type of more.
Yeah,
Fuck you, Universal, for giving us 3 shitty ass fucking movies.
yeah, I guess that'll be a fun little topic we can talk about after our review is what we think of the sequels.
Sure.
That's gonna be fun. But with that being said, I'm sure we all agree, even with the nitpick aside, that this is mostly a masterpiece. So
Yep.
all we have left are positives. I'm sure we all. Do we all agree? I'm sure there's no negatives for the most part.
Yeah, no negatives
Alrighty,
for me.
so
I cannot think of any negatives for the life of
me
me.
either. So, like last time, I will leave it to you guys, and I will go last.
Okay.
Okay.
So for me, as I was saying, it's like kind of lightning in a bottle. It's just like, as I said, this movie shouldn't work. This movie should not. It shouldn't fucking work. It's everything from point A to point B to point C. It is a movie that is an enigma, yet manages to achieve the highest brow of greatness. Like from the troubled production with the shark not working to, it having so many genres it has to juggle with so many like plot lines and characters it has to juggle, and yet it does so magnificently and with just pristine execution. Roy Scheider, he's my favorite character because I love his arc of like kind of like it was not necessarily a flat arc, but it wasn't like a huge progressive arc. It was like a kind of like a medium progressive arc where he like conquers his fear of the water. Um, he was like at the beginning of the journey, he was like, "All right, I'll be the chief of police." He's no nonsense cop kind of thing, and it worked. But he still had this like crippling fear, and then he eventually like, I like how there was the arc of him like conquering that because what he needed to do, because it was like, and I love how the inner machinations of like, again, showing not telling, love to see it, Mr. Spielberg. How like obviously he cares like about the people, he cares about, he has a duty as a police officer, he has a duty as the chief of police to keep these people safe. Obviously that is so obvious. He's a good cop. So far few, but he's an actually good cop, and he like does his job properly. He's like kind of stoic and like, I know how to make this shit work. And it so he's like trying to do everything, and the mayor is just being an asshole about it. But like eventually when like there's this face after Mike almost gets attacked by the shark, and you just see the gears in his head turning. He's like, okay, this is the final fucking straw. I have to fucking do something now because tomorrow my kid might not fucking be here, and we might, and that's just not gonna handle. And no, we're not dealing with that. We're not dealing with that. So he's like, I'm gonna fucking do this. I'm gonna get the crazy guy. I'm gonna get the oceanographer, and we're gonna fucking like or oceanologist or whatever the fuck Hooper's name is. But I like that, and I like his Roy Scheider was such a underrated talent. I don't think he gets nearly enough credit as other actors, especially the other two in this film. I think Murray Hamilton is properly slimy as fuck. I thought he did such a great job as the mayor. You love to hate him because it's just like, wow, the money is more important than the people almost. But like you still see this like sympathetic side, especially with the latest shark attack. You see like he's not a total monster, or he's like my kid was there too. So it's like, but he's like so dependent on like, because even with getting rid of the mob subplot in the book, there is the idea of like the like resort towns like relying on money on the summers to get by, and sometimes you just need that so badly, but it's just like, what do you do, like what do we do? And you know, that's that. So it's like you love to hate him, but there is like a slight twinge of sympathy. Richard Dreyfuss as Matt Hooper, excellent. I love how like animated he is in comparison to the other two leads. Like Scheider is very stoic, and not saying he's like emotionless or anything. It's just like he's a very stoic, no nonsense kind of guy. And then like you have Richard Dreyfuss coming in, like he's like this dweeby fucking nerd coming in, and he's just like nerding out over like all this shark stuff, not in like
They're
inhibiting
all
like the
gonna
people
die.
or the lives of the people. But I love how just how nerdy he is, and I love how Richard Dreyfuss played it. And then Robert Shaw is, of course, Robert Shaw. He was one of the all-time greats before, getting that cut short rather too soon. But, he had a problem, and that kind of led to his death. But, I think and the chemistry between the leads is excellent. And as I said, the mixing of genres, it's action, it's adventure, it's horror, it's almost like coming of age in a way. It's comedy, it's drama, it's every genre. And again, as I said, it shouldn't work, but it does. It's like how easily they all blend together, like on the ship when you have like it's dark, it's they're kind of just licking their wounds, and then they're like comparing scars, and then they have like the monologue about the USS Indianapolis, probably one of the best monologues ever put to film. And then you have like them like singing, and then the shark attack. It's just like this ebb and weave to the whole thing of like under any other filmmaker, it would not have worked as well. With any other writer, I think Carl Gottlieb is the writer. He, that ebb and weave to the whole thing, just I don't like it's for lack of a better word, I guess you could say it's jaw dropping. Anyway, I'm not sorry. Um, but it just like okay, so Peter Benchley did co-write it, who wrote the book, and Carl Gottlieb was the other screenwriter. So both of them wrote the screenplay, and it just like I will say the attacks are gory enough to elicit fear, but not over the top, and I really liked that, and I loved the consequences of everything, how the consequences are felt, like when Alex Kittner dies, and the idea of like obviously keeping the resort, the town open, the beach open, um you know and the jump scares actually being effective this time around, because we kind of forget good effective jump scares in this day and age. um but it just and like the ending was satisfying, and I love like the final shark attack. The final shark attack is almost like underplayed in a way, and I liked that. I liked like there was no big like bombastic music. It was for the most part silence, well, except for maybe like a orchestral droning in a way. But it was not like very like big. And again, that works because you expect it to be big, but it's not. It's just like yet another tale of man conquering nature. And I think that was very, very well done. How, because, like, again, with any lesser filmmaker, they would have made it big and huge and bombastic, and it had to, like, be the beat. But it's how Spielberg did it. It just, like, maybe because it was the production problems with the shark, most likely. But I like how it didn't go over the top when a lesser movie would. And I think it does, and the movie I think does get better once they get on the boat. I think that's pretty much most people say that that's the best part of the movie, is that second half, third act, where it's like all on the boat. um and I think the supporting characters are great. Anybody who I didn't mention, they all do a good job, like Brody's wife and his deputy and all that. I like the look of the town. Very simple, nice, easy looking town. And I think I think just it's just a movie that magically works for me. I don't know if I'm missing anything. I probably am, but I don't know. Just the idea of like man conquering nature again, but like not in like a good way or a bad way, just like sort of out of like a desperation kind of way was very intriguing. And overall, it's I don't have, and of course the score, yeah, no shit. Even though it has been revealed to us recently that John Williams doesn't like film scores, but he still manages to do a brilliant
The
job with
fuck?
this, and he still managed to create some of the greatest of all time. So,
Did I miss something?
yes, John Williams recently said that he's not a big fan of film scores. He doesn't like them very much. He said that they're
And
mostly
yet,
famous for one
he
piece of
and yet he wrote the most iconic film scores in film history. Go
yeah.
figure.
Maybe it's a thing like he likes doing them with the orchestration, putting them together, but not necessarily listening or something. Maybe that's what it
Maybe.
is.
I don't know. I don't remember the exact wording, but I'll go look it up
Right.
later. But
It's kind of
anyway,
weird, but
I don't want to hog all the
yeah, yeah,
time.
it's all good.
So,
Yeah.
right, dude, it's all to you now.
All right then. So
More like bottom, dude. But
bottom dude, because I don't have anybody on the left side to push me over to the right. Anyway, what can I say about Jaws that hasn't already been said? It's a classic, you know. Um, this movie is very well made. I love how this is a movie that pretty much that knows how to build suspense. You know, from the opening scene with like the naked girl just being pulled down. The thing is that you don't even see the shark. You always look through the shark's point of view, and you don't see him until like over halfway through the movie. The closest you ever see to him is see part of the shark is the fin. That's about it. And I love that, you know. I love how it's always trying to keep you in suspense, you know, even though we don't see this thing until Brody and everyone, like the guys are on the fishing boat, you know. We don't see the shark. We don't know what the shark looks like, you know. And this is pretty much what horror films should be today, you know. You should pretty much learn to build up your suspense, you know. Try to keep making us think, what does this thing look like in the end? What does it look like, you know? So I love how it just does that, you know. And also, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't this the first horror film to like feature an actual like wild animal? I'm not talking to like aliens or giant mutant ants or anything like that. I'm not talking about like any kind of sci-fi mutant thing or whatever. I'm talking about like an actual wildlife
Killer
animal that's real. Like, I mean,
yeah. I think it is. Maybe it has.
Is it, John? Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm sure that this is like the first time that it features like a real animal that could kill humans. You know, that's just doing what it is to survive. Is it, John? Okay, he's looking at.
what's up? Sorry.
No, I was saying, this is the first movie that features like a real animal that actually does that can be able to harm humans, you know? Is it?
Maybe.
Okay. Because I'm not talking like Alien, because I know before that it was always
Murders of the Rue Morgue might have it be, because that had a killer monkey in that movie.
Okay.
And King Kong, but that's like kind of supernatural.
I'm not talking, yeah, but I'm not talking about like giants or like giant versions.
Yeah, Murders of the Rue Morgue was probably the first, because that was an ape that was experimented on, but it wasn't like supernatural. It was just like he did his master's will. I think
Okay.
if I had to say anything, it was Murders of the Rue Morgue.
Yeah, but I do love how it tries to go with that angle. The characters, they're all memorable. They're all great. From Brody to Robert Shaw's character to damn, I'm blanking out his name. The oceanographer. What was his name? Just a side. Oh, Hooper. Thank you, Hooper. Um, by the way, for a side note, I didn't rewatch the movie recently because I've had the week from hell, so I never had time. Um, but but I've seen this movie so many times that it's pretty much ingrained to my memory. But I love the characters. I love the dynamic of like when they're all on the fishing boat and they're just fucking around. You know, that's so much fun to watch. Performances are great. I love how the town looks and all. Like it actually looks like a big fisher. It just does look like an actual beach town that pretty much you would want to go to. You would want to go swimming in. You know, it actually looks like it. You know, it looks great. I love the mayor. He, like John said, he is just so much. You love to hate him. You know, I want to make him I want to make a joke about something, but I do not feel comfortable discussing political issues on the stream, and I don't think and I don't want some asshole in the comments pretty much giving us shit. So I'll tell you, I'll just leave it at that. But if you know, you know. Um, but I love just and of course it's so quotable, it's so memorable. You know, you have so many iconic moments. The scratching chalkboard scene. You got we're gonna need a bigger boat. And there's of course the end. Smile, you son of a. You know, you got those so many iconic lines. This is, I mean, let's just say there's a reason why this movie is just so well quoted, just well like it's been parodied time and time from like countless other movies and TV shows. You know, it's pretty much iconic at this point. It's part of pop culture reference, and it's an instant classic. What more can you say? You know, I mean, yeah, I'm sure that there were issues like with the mechanical shark behind the scenes. You know, but I think it still works very well, and I do love how it was trying to keep you on the edge of your seat throughout the whole time. You know, even though I've never had a problem with going into the ocean, even after seeing the movie, I could see how it would terrify anybody to come in contact with water. You know, it's what more can I say? So, what more can I say? You know, it's a classic. You know, I really can't think of anything wrong with it. You know, or anything to complain about. But that's just me. So I'll go ahead and pass it on to Zach
Yep.
because I think I'm
Because
rambling at this
I
point.
do have a few points to make. Like everyone else, what can we say? Like I said at the beginning, it's Jaws. Even if you haven't seen the movie, just saying the name, you know the movie's legacy. It's one of those types of movies. You just say the name, not seeing it, you know what this movie's all about. And I remember reading the book once when I was a kid. It was around the same time I had first gotten into the movie. I first saw it, found out there was a book not long after. And I do gotta say, I think I think the movie is better than the book because it cuts out, at least in my opinion, all the things that are the most unnecessary for the story. It's one thing in a book medium, you can have these certain things, sure. But for a movie, I'm glad they kept certain things out. Like the whole mob subplot. That's a simplification I, as a director, would have made also. Like all you need as the other conflict is the mayor caring more about the summer dollars and all that stuff. That's all you need. Anything else, in my opinion, would be overcomplicating it. And plus, I'll even say this for the book because this is just a subplot I don't like, and I'm so thankful that they not only didn't do this for the movie, but that's not even something they used for the movie at all. To the point that's not a deleted scene. You get what I'm saying? Is the whole thing with Hooper having an affair with Brody's wife? I don't like that. It takes away from Brody's likability, the kind of buddy dynamic they're supposed to have. And if they had had that in the movie, it just would have killed at least the dynamic for me that these characters are supposed to have. This trio. But everything else, yeah, it's fantastic. I know everyone thinks that the back half when they're out at sea is the best part of the movie, and overall it is. But I just gotta say, my biggest positive for the movie overall, and I'll give context, is how they use the shark. I actually like the amount of screen time the shark has. It's using that simple approach of even when the shark's not on screen, its presence is felt. It's always building the suspense. And even in moments where the shark is attacking, you don't see it at first, how they shoot it. This is why I think that even with the production blunders behind the scenes, with the shark not working, it actually worked in their favor because I don't know if any of y'all have ever thought of this, but because we all love how masterful the movie is with its structure, its suspense, how it builds up the shark, all that. It's even become a term, building up the shark. I think it would have ruined it if this shark was on screen as much as they wanted it to be. Because then there wouldn't be that masterclass to it. To me, it would have run the line of feeling too much like schlock. Even with someone with a pristine name behind it, like Steven Spielberg, it would have had that more schlocky feel that, let's be honest, most of the sequels fell into. Even the one sequel that I like lost that pristine because they showed the shark more. And we'll get into that mainly when we talk about the sequels. But you get my point. So that's my biggest positive. And the scariest shot in the movie for me is not the scariest scene, but the scariest shot with the shark at least is where the dude's on the boat, checking on the kids like, "Hey, are you all right?" And you see that shot. You know which shot I'm talking about, right? Like that's like the scariest shot in the movie. Like to where at least to his leg being ripped off. That's the best shark scene in the movie for me. Not even the entire sequence, just that one shot where you know what shot I'm talking about. It's a legendary shot. It's nightmare fuel. But the overall best scene in the movie for me is the monologue. Like I said earlier, Quint is my favorite character in the movie. Always was. He's always the character that had the most meat on the bone as far as the writing and backstory and all that. And it just makes me so mad. And I will always mourn the fact that we never got that prequel that they wanted to do about the USS Indianapolis. I think that would have been a great companion piece to this movie. At least only if Spielberg had done it like he said he would have. If that's the movie they would have been willing to make. So when he dies at the end, yep, it's a gut punch. And I like how it comes full circle because in that monologue he's talking about the shark bites into you, and you hear that high pitched screaming, and that happens. Brilliant. And Brody, I'll get into him, is a very likable character too. He's not my favorite, like he is admittedly for a lot of people, I guess, but I do like his determination, his commitment. I like how he does care more about the town because it's like an interesting dichotomy between him and the mayor. They both care about the town per se, but the motives are different. One has an agenda and one just wants to do the right thing. You get the distinction. And Hooper, it's an interesting thing with Richard Dreyfuss as an actor. I'm You know the Poseidon remake they did in 2006 that he was in along with Kurt Russell and a few other people? That was the first movie I saw him in. So the most that I had always recognized Richard Dreyfuss, as a kid at least, growing up, was his roles when he was older. So I remember when I first watched Jaws and saw that he was in it, it's like, even as a kid, I was like, man, it feels so weird seeing him younger. Like usually it's the other way around. So that was interesting, and he's a really quirky character. Even down to his introduction and all that, where all the guys are, nah, we're not overloading the boat and all that, and he's just like, they're going to die. Love it. But yeah, that's about all the bullet points I have for positives. I love that they kept only the essentials from the book as far as the characterization and the necessary subplots, and I love the way that the the lack of screen time for the shark actually worked in their favor with how they were able to edit around it. It was masterful. And the trio of characters are very likable. And I'll admit, I think we can all agree it would have been cool to see the mayor get eaten or something or get arrested somewhat, but real world shit. We won't get into it. But with that being said, now that we've all pretty much reviewed the movie, before we get into our final grade, um, let's talk about the sequels for a little bit. There won't be full on reviews of each one, just our general thoughts on each one, which I guess for most of us will be short. I'll actually go first this time. Um, Now I said earlier that I will always mourn the fact that we never got that USS Indianapolis prequel that they wanted to do instead of a Jaws 2. But for what we got with Jaws 2, at least in my opinion, it's not bad. Yes, it loses that pristine edge with the editing and the suspense, that masterclass that you get with a director like Steven Spielberg. But as is, just as a movie, it's unnecessary. It should not exist. But out of the sequels, it's not bad. Like for me, it's like, again, like even though it doesn't need to exist for me, okay, like as a story, this is competently done. Like it's not there's nothing in this movie on a story level that's like, oh, they ruin any of the characters or just slap in the face or anything that undoes or insults the original. It's like it's done well. It's just a sequel that just doesn't need to exist. So for me, it's good. Like if I want to watch any of these sequels, I would watch Jaws 2, but yeah, it's not necessary. I will definitely agree with you on that because I'm sure you feel the same way. Jaws 3, look, it's not good. I will agree, it's not good, but I actually think it has a cool idea. Aside from the 3D, like it just cut the 3D shit. But yeah, just cut the 3D shit. But keep this story with the
Extreme
Sea World.
close up. What?
Yeah, keep the idea of the Sea World and the shark getting into the park and all that. I think that's a cool suspenseful idea. Like if you did it with the seriousness of the first two films, I could see this being okay, another unnecessary but maybe equally competently done sequel. Give it better effects and even better acting in some areas. I could see this being another Jaws sequel that I would watch on the same level as the first two. So, yeah, not good, but at least had a good idea, if that makes sense. At least in my opinion. But it is a guilty pleasure for me. I do enjoy it on an ironic level. Jaws 4 though, can we all agree? Woof. Oh God, dude, how do you go from the masterclass, the masterpiece that the first film is? Like admittedly a simple shark story, but done very well. Obviously, how do you go from that to this
Because
psychic link?
apparently sharks have the concept of revenge, that they followed this
Yeah, like
person.
did they just forget Jaws too? Like the chick was Tom Brody. Sharks don't take things personally, Sheriff. Like, okay, I guess this retcons Jaws too. Okay. But for like psychic links, the shark follows them to the Bahamas. And you know what kills the most? Like, maybe it's another movie that maybe I could have enjoyed on an unironic level as a guilty pleasure if the movie wasn't trying to play it so damn straight and so damn serious. Maybe if it had like a self-aware tone and all that shit, you get what I'm saying? Maybe there could have been some unironic fun to be had with this, but as is, it's like, why are we trying to take this seriously? This is that's stupid.
Really stupid.
But yeah, it's no secret why this killed the franchise and why there hasn't been any talks of another movie or reboot or whatever since. And I'll just say this before I let y'all get into the sequels. Do not remake Jaws. Because they have yet to, because unless they were willing to aim with practical effects, let's be honest, they wouldn't. They have yet to perfect the CGI shark. And while there's some shark movies that I enjoy with CGI, they've yet to perfect the effect.
Nah,
So
I think
don't do it.
Sharknado 4 really perfected the CGI shark.
Yeah.
3 was almost there, but 4 really perfected it.
You know what? You know what? You know what, Zach? We ought to do
Uh,
after we get done talking about the sequels. Before we get on to our grade, let's just talk about like other random shark movies while we're at it.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
It's probably
That
going to
could
be
be
the
our
only time we could be able to talk about them.
yeah, sure. That could be our other category after the sequels, but yeah, the floor is yours. I'll let y'all rip these sequels apart.
Okay.
Well, I'm not going to be doing much ripping apart because I've only seen the second one. I haven't seen 3 or 4, so I can't judge and say it's bad or not. I mean, I assume it is since most people say it's bad, but I can't really say Jaws 3D or Jaws 4 are that bad because I have not seen them. However, I can comment on Jaws 2, and I can say it is, oh my god, so fucking boring. The problem with it is Roy Scheider, while a phenomenal actor, and the only reason he did it was because of a contractual obligation to Universal. He actually had to back out of another movie he really wanted to do just because he had to do this movie. Is that he doesn't have anybody of talent to work off of. Because the problem with this is you don't have Richard Dreyfuss again. Obviously, Robert Shaw is dead. Well, I think he was dead in real life at this point. Not sure. But he was dead in the movie universe and in real life, I think. But he doesn't have anybody talented to work off of. And with that, they make it so that, yeah, I think he was dead when the movie was released. But even then, he just doesn't have anybody of talent to work off of because they fall the main people they fall to are teenagers because why? I have no fucking clue. So it takes place a couple years later. Mike is now like in high school around there, and they mainly follow him and his dipshit friends. And it's honestly just so fucking boring. Like anything without Roy Scheider is just boring. And the thing is, they actually had some really good ideas in the earlier scripts. I don't know if this made it into the novelization, but in the earlier scripts, there were some moments that never made it to screen. Like there was a scene where Mike would have had a flashback to almost being killed by the shark during like when he gets attacked by the shark again, like sort of this like PTSD flashback, which could have been interesting. And then there was another scene where I think it was like Chief Brody was like gonna get get suspended or like he was gonna get fired. I forget. It's been so long since I watched the movie, and it's not very memorable. So I think there was a scene where like he was getting like revoked or something like that, and the council was like should you should we like revoke him, like should we suspend him or whatever because of his like shark attacks nonsense. And all the people except for one vote yes, that we should suspend him and the one person that doesn't do so is the mayor. He slowly raises his hand because he's the only one that believes Brody, because he learned his lesson from the first one, and is like, he reluctantly says, I
I
don't think he should
do
get revoked from the
I
movie.
do have
So
one quick little plot hole with that is that I do like that scene, but I think it would have had more impact if he wasn't just copy paste at the beginning again, just like, no, there's no shark, or you, we're not gonna do anything about it. Like, you fucking saw what happened in the last film. Do something this time.
yeah, but again, that was a way earlier draft, so obviously things like majorly changed, and I'm sure they
It
just
is
rewrote
actually
the
a
mayor
deleted
as like
scene,
an
by the way.
asshole again. So
It's a it's a scene they actually filmed. It's a deleted scene, by the way. They
okay, it is a
actually
deleted scene. Okay,
yeah.
I
So
wasn't sure
yeah,
if it was a deleted scene or it was like it was like
yeah.
written out, but I do remember those two things. I remember when Chris Stuckman and his friend were talking about it, and they were talking about an earlier draft, and they're like, it had the ideas were there to make it like kind of have some kind of depth, but they're like, no, let's not do that. Just like people care about the shark. And the thing is, the shark attacks aren't even that interesting. It's just boring. But yeah, but like pretty much everything with Roy Scheider, pretty good. Anything with the fucking teenage characters or anybody else, fucking stupid and fucking boring. I don't recommend it. It's a boring movie. I can't say anything about 3D or 4 because I have not seen.
So I think I'll probably have even less to say about both, because I think in terms of the sequels, the closest I have seen was maybe just a little, because I haven't seen Jaws 2. I haven't seen that one. And the only one I've seen was maybe a little bit of Jaws 3 when I caught it a little bit of it on TV at one point or something. I just remember thinking it was just it was so stupid, just the fact that I get Jaws 3D. It was made at a time where 3D was like the new hot ticket, like every horror movie in the 80s pretty much was all like, hey, look, things are coming at you. Ooh, like just like you had like Friday the 13th Part 3, you had Frey's Dead, The Final Nightmare. You had, I think there was one of the Amityville horror movies that had like a movie with a stupid 3D gimmick. I don't know if there's another one that comes across. So this is, keep in mind, this is like way before this is way before like the Avatar movies and things like that. But I don't remember much about it. I just remember watching a little bit of Jaws 3 on TV, just thinking this is stupid, and just turned it off. So I haven't seen Jaws: The Revenge, although I am aware of like I am aware on some of the plot details, and I just reading about it, and I was like, yeah, this is dumb. And John, you said that was it Roy Schneider that you said that his character died or something you said something about somebody died in real life and in the movie.
Well, Robert Shaw.
Well, Robert Shaw, yeah, but then again, he died.
He was already dead in the.
He died at the end of the first movie.
He died in the first one, so that didn't matter. But
Yeah,
Richard Dreyfuss wasn't going to come back.
Yeah.
Roy Scheider just did it because of a contractual obligation.
I know Roy Schneider I know he refused to. I think the reason why they killed off his character in The Revenge. Like I said, I haven't seen it, but I do remember looking up the plot synopsis that they killed him off. But I think the original draft is the fact that if he was going to appear, he would have been the first victim to get killed off. So, they would have killed off.
Because I know the third one takes place at SeaWorld, so they could like divert that, and they didn't need to show him. And then, then the fourth one, they're just like, he's dead because he didn't want to come back.
Yeah, because Roy Schneider refused to come back.
Yeah, I know his son dies. The youngest son dies in 3D, played by the guy from Doogie Howser.
Yeah.
And then, so Dennis Quaid has to come in and, and Louis Gossett Jr. have to come in and defeat the shark.
The Dolphins! What about the Dolphins? God. Yeah, that's honestly the only thing I can think of. I really can't say much for Jaws 2 because I haven't seen it. So I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
Well, as far as other shark movies I enjoy, um, I'll bring up two in particular that I like. Um, I'll bring up a recent one. I'm sure we've heard of it or seen it. Dangerous Animals. I actually thought was pretty good. I know it's not mainly a shark. It's more like a serial killer just happens to use sharks to kill his victims. But as is, I think it's a neat, clever idea that's for the most part utilized to its full potential. And plus, you have another role that's perfectly suited for Jai Courtney, at least in my opinion, where he's just able to go full ham with his accent and all that. And I think he's really good in the movie. And the other one, I'm sure was this one was obvious, but I love Deep Blue Sea. It's not a master class execution of
Samuel Jackson, enough
yeah,
said.
yeah. It's not a it's schlock like the Jaws sequels are, but it's probably my other favorite shark movie. Maybe because there's slim pickings for actual really good ones, but as is, I enjoy this one. I like that they use. You know why I like it? Because I get why shark movies always use great whites. It's like the go-to shark. But I like how this one gets clever and uses different species like bull sharks, mako sharks, and I think there's a hammerhead in there somewhere. I might be wrong, but you get what I'm saying. So you're able to see different ways that those species of sharks will hunt their victims, and I think it made for a lot of suspenseful scenes. And plus, yeah, Samuel Jackson. Although my favorite character in the movie is Thomas Jane. That's like one of the most underrated actors out there, and yeah, he deserves a better career. But and then before we end it, bring it to you guys. I'll like these are guilty pleasures. Like they're bad movies, but I love the Sharknado series. I just do. I was there every summer for the premiere of every film on the Sci-Fi Channel, so it became kind of a tradition for me. So in a sort of way, I was like, when they said they're doing one last one, I was like, oh man, this is a tradition I'm gonna kind of miss. So there's that. I love those movies.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't
Any other
really know what
shark
else to
movies for
talk
you
about.
guys? Any other shark movies for you guys? Ones you like?
Um,
I mean, Dangerous Animals. Yeah, I think that's the only other one I've
I
seen. I know like there's shitty ones like Shark Exorcist and
I
Sharknado,
know
but I haven't seen them.
I know I have seen a handful of other shark related movies. I remember when I was in middle school or something. I remember watching one called I think I did mention this on one of John's streams last year when we were doing our Oscar-thon. It was one called Open Water. I don't know if you guys have heard. I don't know if
I've
you've
heard
heard of
of
that
that.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the one where it's based on a real life event where two divers they pretty much are on this tour, where they're like scuba diving, and seeing like shells. They get left behind and they were never found. And spoiler alert, they were never found again. But I do remember watching that one. That was a good one. Of course, Dangerous Animals. That's a fun movie. I did see the Meg. It's stupid, but it's like dumb. It's like stupid kind of fun. It's like stupid fun. I haven't seen the sequel, so I can't really say much about it. But I will say the Meg, the first Meg, it's like stupid fun.
Yeah.
But I mean the scene at the beach alone is pretty fun. So I won't lie. Um, I'm trying to think of what else is there. There's some of course Sharknado. It's stupid, but you kind of know that with the premise with a shark a tornado filled shark, you know that it's stupid, and it's just having fun with itself, So, I mean, I haven't seen any of the Sharknado sequels. I just seen the first one, and it's like one of those. It's kind of like Jason X in a way, and you know that just by the premise alone, it's stupid on paper, but it goes along with the stupidity and has fun with itself. Um, so I have a good time watching that. I'm trying to think on what other shark. Deep Blue Sea, Samuel Jackson, man. What can I say? So. And I'm trying to think of what else here. Uh, I really don't know. Unless you count Shark Tale. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, dude.
I'm not able to play my clip, but
Time's up.
time's up. And he's done for the rest of the stream. But I'd say that's about it. So let's see. All right, final thoughts and grades. I guess I'll start this time. I think Jaws is an absolute masterpiece. It's no question why this is still the best shark movie of all time that just perfected the concept and why everything since is seen as either a pale imitation or you just can't copy the concept or whatever it was you said at the beginning. So, yep, great acting, great suspense and build up, and great camaraderie with our main leads, and a very ballsy for a PG movie. I mean, Quint's death, holy shit. Surprised even back then that got away with a PG. So, but regardless, it is fantastic, even if the sequels pale in comparison. So, it's 10 out of 10.
It's near perfect. Go watch it. 9.5 out of 10. Nothing more to say.
Yeah, like I said, what more can I say about this? What more can I say about this movie? It's a classic. It's well known. Um, it's a perfect 10 out of 10. This movie is the inspiration for like a lot of other horror animal kind of creature movies that we see today. This is it's a classic. I would say go watch it, but more than likely you already have. And if you haven't, then what the fuck are you doing with your life?
See you, bitches. And before we wrap up, Devin, the cinematic Sterling, was not able to join us, but he also agrees that it is a absolute classic, and he also gives it a 10 out of 10. Alrighty, so before we wrap it up, what's our next review, fellas?
It's going to be The Long Walk, and that's going to be
Yeah.
hosted by Devin.
Oh, I'm so excited for that movie. It's not even a Steven Spielberg story I've heard of, but just
Steven Spielberg story.
I
Stephen
mean,
King. You mean
Stephen King, yes.
Stephen King? I was like, what are you talking about,
Yeah,
dude?
yeah, a Stephen King story that I've never heard of, but it looks so good. So, in the meantime, yep, all right. So, in the meantime, look forward to that, and we will see y'all next time. Later, fellas. Again, we have brought light into the world. You're welcome, America.